Hello everybody, this is Mark Werber with Rapattoni Corporation, and we're ready to start today's webinar. Today's topic is committees.
And since this is our final webinar of the year before the holiday season, we thought we would add a little bit of festivities by giving us all Santa hats. And today we're going to cover the topic of committees in Magic.
That was Diane Clem. Frank Rittersdorf can't join us today. He's on-site training, but I'm sure he's with us in spirit. We're coming to you live from our multimedia studios here in Simi Valley, California. As I always state, it takes a village to pull off these webinars, so I'd like to take a moment to recognize everybody that is involved in creating them. From left to right is Sabrina Steffen. She's our marketing coordinator. She does all of our communications. Mark Boatman is our multimedia specialist. He's turning the knobs behind the scenes. That's me, Mark Werber in the middle, followed by Diane Clem and Frank Rittersdorf, your excellent trainers. And today we're going to be using the latest and greatest version of Magic. That is version 10.1.05. If you have not upgraded your association to the newest version of Rapattoni Magic, please contact your support representative to schedule an upgrade.
And as we mentioned earlier, our agenda for today is committees. We'll show you how to create a committee, assign members to a committee, schedule committee meetings, and add attendees to those meetings. We'll also show you how to modify attendance, and we will show you some handy reports and merges so that you can manage your committees more easily.
All right, thanks, Diane. Let's get started. The first step in managing committees is to actually create the committee. I'm going to navigate over to Rapattoni Magic, and from Managers, there's the Committee Manager. For the sake of today's training, we're going to use the Getting Started. Getting Started is a step-by-step process that allows you to create committees, add members, schedule meetings, and run reports from start to finish. The first step in getting started is to create the committee itself. When I click on Create Committee, the software will take me to the committee query form. The committee query form shows us a list of existing committees. If I go to Create mode from here, I'll come up with a blank screen. To save time, I'm going to show you the setup of an existing committee. This committee is assigned to the association, the Anytown Association of Realtors. Each committee is assigned a unique committee ID. In this case, we've assigned the Board of Directors the ID of BOD. And the name of the committee is Board of Directors. Committee type allows you to group like committees together. This is a Zoom field. So the Board of Directors is a committee or a standing committee. There's always a Board of Directors. But you can also use the committee manager for things like task force, for vendor selection committees or nomination committees. By selecting a committee type, you can use this information for reporting options. Every committee has a coordinator on staff. In this case, we can specify the coordinator's name. The first coordinator is Tracy Dunn, and she's also being assisted with this committee by Yvonne Holloway. The status of this committee is active, and you also have the ability to put an internal comment about this committee. In the committee information form, not only do you set up the committees here, but you can also schedule the meetings. The Board of Directors meets on the second Monday of every month from 10 to 11 a.m. in the boardroom. When we create the meeting schedule, the software will look at the committee information form to help us to automatically generate the committee meetings. So let's review. You create a committee using the committee information form. Do not recreate standing committees. For example, the Board of Directors is always the Board of Directors. You do not need to create a new committee for the Board of Directors each year. The only thing that really changes are the members that serve on this committee and their term of service. When you create a committee, you can also set the meeting schedule, and the software will generate 12 equal meetings based upon the meeting schedule that you set up. Now that we've created committees, it's time to add members.
Thanks, Mark. Now we're going to cover assigning members to a committee. and we're going to use the Getting Started menu to add members to those committees. We are going to click the Add Members button, which will take us to the committees form by committee. As you can see, our Board of Directors committee is at the top. We can use our F9 key to jump to the bottom of the form, and this is where we will add members to the committee. We can use our Control-E key combination to add a member to the committee, and then use our F5 to zoom and select that member. In this case, we're going to select Vivian Arnold. She'll be our next committee member. And you'll notice once we select her, most of the information on this form is defaulted. So all of her member information and the association committee information is there for you. All you have to fill out is the members committee detail. You can designate the term of service on this committee. So Vivian is going to serve on this committee between this date range. You can designate her position code. She might be the president or the treasurer or just a member of the committee. You also will designate her status on the committee, and anytime that status gets changed, the status date is automatically updated in Magic. Now Vivian may decide she wants to be on any of several committees, so she can enter her choice number here. If this is her first priority of the committee she wants to be on, this is choice number 1. You can designate it here. You can also show who Vivian was nominated by and any comments supporting that nomination. And that is how you add a member to a committee. Now you can also edit information or remove a member from a committee from this form as well. So now let's review. We assign members to a committee by clicking on the Add Member to Committee button. We were taken to the committee form by committee and used our F9 key to jump to the bottom of the form and add a committee. In the committee member information, we could note the date the member serves on the committee, the position that member serves, and also the status of that member's service on the committee.
Okay, we've created our committee. We've added members to those committees. Now it's time to schedule meetings. So I'm going to navigate back to Magic and I'm going to skip step 3 for now and jump right to step 4, which is schedule meetings. You can actually schedule meetings 2 ways. One is you can run a utility in Magic that will automatically create the meetings for you, or you can manually schedule a meeting for any time. I'm going to show both of them to you. The first one is automatic. When we set up our committee, we said that that committee met on the second Monday of every month from 10 to 11 a.m. in the Board of Directors room. The software will generate those committee meetings for me by simply selecting the association, the committee ID, and the date range of when you want to create the committees. So I'm going to create 12 equal meetings for between January and December of 2012. All I need to do is select Update, start execution, and the software will create the update for me. That's how to do it automatically. You can also manually create a committee meeting. By creating a committee meeting manually, you'll use the master calendar form. The master calendar actually will show you meetings for committees, events, and classes. You can navigate to the date that you want, then simply click Add Committee Meeting, which will bring up a pop-up. Again, you'll pick your committee ID. The system will default a meeting number, the date, because I've already highlighted it on the previous screen. The date, time, and location are already defaulted for me, and all I need to do is escape to save, and the software has now created a brand new manual committee meeting. Okay, let's summarize. To schedule meetings, you can use the utility. The utility will create 12 meetings for you for the entire year based on the criteria that you set up in the committee information form. You can also manually create a meeting at any time using the master calendar or the meeting attendance form, which we'll show you in the next few slides.
Our next step is to add attendees to meetings. And as you all know, that can be a very time-consuming process if you try to do it one by one manually. So Magic offers a really handy utility to get that done. Now we're going to skip these next 2 steps, which are reports, because we're going to cover our, those reports come after that. We're going to click the button that says Add Members to Meetings, and we're going to use this form to automatically add members to your meetings. Your association comes up by default. You're going to choose your Board of Director meeting. You can either add committee members to meetings specified within a small date range or for the entire year. Once you type that information in, all you have to do is click Update, and any member that's on that committee is automatically placed in those meetings. So your work is done by magic. And now we're going to skip those 2 steps to do with the reports, and we're going to modify attendance to those meetings. We're going to select our Board of Director meeting on the left, and notice that to the right of that is a list of all the scheduled meetings. From this form here under Meetings, you can add or remove meetings using your F4 key to this committee, kind of manually. Then you can also, you go ahead and use your F4. It'll open up the form, and you can add a meeting. Use your F9 key to jump to the bottom part of the form, and you can modify who is going to attend that meeting. So you can modify attendance to no and make a note as to why they can't make it, or you can add a member to that meeting by using your F4 key, zooming in, and selecting another member from the member query form. And you can type in any notes pertaining to why they showed up at the last minute, or if they were replacing the person who couldn't show, or what have you. So let's review. We showed you how to add attendees to a meeting or to modify attendance by, first of all, adding attendees using the utility, which automatically adds members of the committee to the meetings that have been scheduled previously, or modifying attendance by using the meeting attendance form. We can create an unscheduled meeting, add additional members to the meeting, or use the F9 key to jump to the bottom part of the form and update the attendance for members who are already scheduled.
All right, let's talk about some of the reporting options. We skipped reporting because we're going to combine them all together for the end of the presentation. One of the things we skipped was the roster. The roster allows you to print committee information, the committees, the members that serve on the committees, and their contact information. This form allows you to print a variety of formats. By zooming and selecting your options, you can specify what you want to include and not include on the roster. So, for example, you can specify a single committee or multiple committees. You can put your own roster title on here. You can run the roster for only specific position codes. So if you just want a list of presidents, you can run a roster based upon specific dates. So I can run it for this year's committee, or last year's committee, or next year's committee. You can also specify what IDs that you want to print on the committee, as well as contact information. By simply clicking Create Report, it'll bring up your print queue, and then you'll simply print the roster. I have one pre-printed here for you. And this is what the roster looks like. At the top of the screen, you'll notice that it's called the 2012 Committee Roster because that's the title that I entered into there. Here's my list of Board of Directors. Frances Talbot is the president. She works for Bill Barker Real Estate, and here's all of her contact information, as well as all the other members that serve on this committee. In addition to running a printable roster, other things that you might want to do is send your committee members a meeting notification. So when we send meeting notifications, we're going to use the merge. And what the merge does is it exports data of your choosing. Just like the report, you zoom and select your criteria. The specific committee ID, the member status, the position code that they serve, the dates that they serve on the committee, and this will create an export for you that you can use to communicate with your members. Other types of reports that you might want to print is the sign-in sheet. Normally you take attendance at these committee meetings, so you can print a sign-in sheet and have all of your committee members sign in. Let's summarize. First, all the reports are available to you by going into the Committee Manager under the Reports menu. So under your reporting options, some of the things we covered was to print a roster. A roster is a publication of the members' information that serves on that committee. You may want to print a sign-in sheet for attendance purposes. You can also print an attendance report so you can actually manage the members' attendance. And there's another report called the Committee Member Conflict Report, And this will allow you to figure out who cannot attend a meeting due to some type of scheduling conflict. You can also export data via the merge programs. By using the committee merge, you can correspond with your members. You could send them letters and emails. You can send them meeting notifications. By contacting those members via email, you can quickly let them know that there might be a change in venue or a change in the schedule of that committee meeting. There's also a calendar merge, which I did not show you, but what the calendar merge does is it exports a schedule of committee meetings, classes, and events directly into your Outlook calendar. Let's summarize what we covered today.
Thanks, Mark. Today we looked at creating a committee. We advised to not recreate standing committees because you can use that committee from year to year. You just change the members' terms on those committees. We looked at assigning members to a committee. We used the committee form by committee to do this. We scheduled committee meetings, both automatically and manually, and showed you how to add attendees to those meetings by using the utility and also the modify attendance form. We also look at some very useful reports and merges that will help you to manage your committees and keep in good contact with the members of those committees.
That summarizes our review of committees today. Let's see if our audience has any questions. The first question is, if meetings are set using the automatic function, can an individual meeting during the year be altered in the future? Yes. The answer to that question is yes. So we showed you how to create a meeting manually. That's one individual meeting. If your committees do not meet on a regular basis, then you probably want to set up your meetings manually. If they always meet at the same day of every month, then it's nice to run a utility that just creates the 12 meetings for you. You can go into any one of those 12 meetings and edit the date and time. You can go into any of those 12 meetings and delete it, or if there's a 13th meeting, you can add it manually. So the utility is just a way for you to create 12 equal meetings very quick and easy. If the meetings don't meet on the same date and time, then just use the manual function. How do you notify your members about a committee meeting? Well, many ways. Traditionally, we use email. So if you need to notify all of your committee members, especially if you're a committee coordinator, the best thing to use is the merge programs that will export all of their email addresses, and then you can send them a broadcast notification of a meeting reminder or a meeting cancellation, or you may want to send them the information that they're going to cover for that meeting in advance. Okay, here's a great question. Can you add 2013 members to the committee in 2012? That's a great question. Yes, you can. When we did add members to committee, what you're looking at is the current year's committee members. But you can show all years, and you can see people that served prior to 2012 and committee members that serve after 2012. When you create a new committee member or add a new committee member to a committee, you'll see the dates here are defaulting to the current year. Around this time of year, you're probably setting up your committee members for next year. So it's just a matter of changing the term dates. So now, even though we're still in 2012, James Andrews serves on this committee in 2013. Okay? Can you delete a standing committee? I suppose you could delete a standing committee if you want, but if you delete a committee, all the historical data goes with it. So there is a purpose for retaining previous committee years' information. So of course we're only dealing with current year's information. We're only looking at the Board of Directors for 2012. But it is really easy to click Show All Years, and we can see that John Adams Sr. actually has served on this committee for, it looks like, about 6 or 7 years. And the only thing that normally changes is his term of service and the position that they serve within the committee. Do you have any other questions? Will you lose the information of previous year's members if you change the dates from 2012 to 2013? You actually shouldn't change the dates of an existing committee member. You should add them again with their new term. So, for example, if Bob Smith served in 2012 as a secretary, he would have a record that showed him serving as, let's use John Adams. In 2012, he was the secretary, right? But John Adams is also going to serve as president in 2013. So instead of expanding his dates, instead what I would do is add him a second time. So here's John Adams, same John Adams that served in 2012, but now he's been appointed in 2013 with his new title as president. So that when you look in his historical data, you can see that information. You can see that John Adams was the secretary in 2012 and John Adams was the president in 2013. So again, my recommendation isn't to just keep extending the term dates. My recommendation is to add them again with their new position and their term of service. Okay, I think that wraps up the questions for today. Do you have anything else, Diane?
Here's another question. How do I make members show up in order of position on reports and rosters?
Oh, good question.
Rather than just in alphabetical order.
Most of the time when you run a report, you want them to show up alphabetically, right? Andrews, Brown, in alphabetical order. But committees is actually a little bit different. We want the committee members to actually sort in the hierarchy of their position code. So if we go to the position code table, we have a sort order. So that when you run reports, no matter if the president's last name is Zimmerman, you want his name to show up first on the report. So the report, specifically the roster, will print in order of position code, not in order of last name. If I bring that report up again, you'll notice that the board of directors, Frances Talbot, she starts with a T. She's the president, so she always shows up first. Carol Barker is the president-elect. She shows up second, and B comes after A, but John Adams is the secretary. President-elect is higher than secretary, so that's the order that they're showing up. Then treasurer, then it looks like all the members are showing up. Good question. Okay, I think that's all the time we have for questions today. If you do have any further questions, what we'd like for you to do is email them to webinars@rapattoni.com, and any of those additional questions that you may have will be answered by one of our CREC support representatives. It's time for the Rapattoni Wrap-Up.
We know it's not the same with Frank here to do the vocals on that. But to view past and future webinars and to register for upcoming webinars, as always, you can visit our website at www.rapattoni.com. Click on Support, Magic, Webinars and Training Videos, and you can see a list of all past and future webinars. So you can review webinars that have already been broadcast, or you can schedule to attend webinars that are coming up. If you have any additional questions and you just want to have those questions answered by looking at one of our resource articles, you can also click on Support Magic and Magic Resource Articles and type in the topic that you're looking for, and you should be able to get your questions answered in that way as well.
Our attendees always ask this, so I just want to remind you that this webinar will be posted on our website within a couple of hours. So if you want to review it again or you want to share it with one of the staff people that weren't able to attend, the webinar will be available for viewing in the next couple of hours. Our next Magic webinar will be held on January 30th, 2013. We're going to tackle CDB financial processing and reports. That's an exciting topic. We're going to demonstrate how to process financial transmittals using CDB. And we're going to run financial reports from membership dues to state and national. An exciting topic. I hope you can attend.
All right, and from all of us to all of you, we hope you have a very safe and happy holiday season, and we'll see you again in January.
Happy holidays. See you next year.